In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the most unique gimbal I've ever tested, the Moza AirCross 3. It may just look like any other single-handed gimbal on first glance, but this gimbal has a secret. It folds in half, allowing you to add multiple handles and transforming it into a two-handed gimbal in just a few simple moves. This is truly one of the weirdest and most beautiful designs I've ever seen or used on a gimbal. Having the flexibility to change its configuration means you can have the perfect gimbal for every type of shot in one small package. Before we get started, I just want to mention that Moza did send me this pre-production model of the Moza AirCross 3 for free, but I'm not being paid to make this video and all of my thoughts are my own. This gimbal is small, really small. I'm a huge believer in keeping my filming rig as small as compact as possible. I've been using the Moza Air 2S for the past couple of months, and that's a very impressive gimbal. There's a link in the video description to my full review, but the problem with the Air 2S for me is that it's just too much gimbal for my needs. For my go-to setup of the Sony a6300 and the Sigma 16mm 1.4, the Moza AirCross 3 is just perfect. It feels like it was specifically designed to take a much smaller camera. The maximum payload is 3.2 kilograms, which is still really quite impressive for the size of it, but due to the physical dimensions and clearances, I think you may struggle to fit anything larger than a Sony a7S III with a zoom lens attached. I don't think it would take something like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. We touched on the different configurations of this gimbal earlier, but I want to talk you through how you actually do this, and does it actually work how you would expect. As you can see on the side of the gimbal, you have a lock, which you can undo, and then using the release button on the front, you can fold the handle of the gimbal out of the way. Once the handle is in the desired position, you can then relock the mechanism. There are 3/4-inch threads available to use, one in the traditional position at the bottom of the gimbal, one at an angle on the same handle allowing you to use the gimbal in underslung mode, and one directly underneath the pan motor. This offers an incredible amount of flexibility whether you're using it handheld or on a slipod. With all this flexibility, there are a few downsides, however. When you have the handle completely folded away, it's quite hard to see the screen and adjust the gimbal settings, so make sure you've got them dialed in before changing the configuration. The other is if you have the camera attached and balanced, it's actually a little tricky to change between configurations on the fly. It's still super nice to have this feature though. If you were going to use this primarily in the standard configuration, I don't think you'd be disappointed. Its lightweight designs mean you could film for hours no problem at all. The motors seem powerful enough for even the most challenging of moves. Also, there's a lot of different connection options around this gimbal, so you can charge and control your camera with one of the included USB cables. My first experience with a gimbal that could do this was the Moza Air 2S, and it really is life-changing. Not having to carry battery banks or having to fiddle around with pressing record on the camera makes all the difference when using this gimbal professionally. If you happen to own the Moza SlidePod, then you can actually use this gimbal in conjunction with it, getting some really pretty motion-controlled movements. I'll be making a full video about this in the future. This gimbal comes in 3 different variants. The first is the gimbal only, the second is called the Pro Kit, which comes with a follow focus and professional carry bag, and the third is the Master Kit, which includes an AI module. There's a link in the video description to the Moza store where you can check all the prices and availability. So rounding up, would I recommend it? If you're like me and you like to keep your filming rig small, light and flexible, I would 100% recommend this gimbal. If you're planning to use a camera that's heavier or an odd shape, then I'd say go for something a bit bigger like the Air 2S. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again really soon.